Hello class. In this lesson, I will demonstrate dispersion effect. So first, let's take a look at this preview video. Okay, so you can see that this lady his body gonna start to set fire, and then he's gonna disappear. So you can use this effect for demon. For example, your hero is fighting with a demon, and when your hero hits the demon gonna be transformed to the hell. So you're gonna start to burn, and then he going to go to the hell. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm gonna go to new project. And first, let's import the background footage and the girl footage. And then here, let's select the girl video and create a conversation. And here I'm going to select key light 1.2 effect. Get rid of the background. And then I will drag in the background image. Okay, so let's see, where should we start with the effect? So maybe 1 second and a half. Okay, here's the point we're going to start with the effect. Okay, so first let's create a starting layer, and let's see this as mask, and click OK, and the color, choose the black, pure black color, and click OK. So we're gonna put this mask on top of this girl. Okay, so remember this is a black starting layer. So basically we'll just use it as an empty layer, and we'll apply effect on it and use it as a Numa mask for girl. So it may sound confusing at the beginning, but you'll understand it, how we're gonna do it. So we're gonna select this starting layer, the mask layer, and we're gonna apply a gradient effect. So search for gradient ramp, drop it onto mask. Okay, so now you can see that it transformed from the black and white, and yeah, that's the default setting. But for the ramp shape, we're going to change from linear to radial. Okay, and here we can also change the start point and end point. So it doesn't make much sense for now, but let's take a look here. So for the girl, we're going to set Numa matte for the mask layer. So basically the mask layer are going to set as the Numa matte for the girl layer. Okay, so if you don't see this panel, just go to the layer name, right click, go to column, and check on modes. So it will show up. Okay, so now here for the girl layer, we're going to use the mask layer as the Numa matte for it. So now you can see that this girl is have transparency on top, and here is the starting. So basically for the start of the ramp, we can just grab on the y-axis, and we can move it to the top of the head, and make sure it's aligned with the girl. And for the end of the ramp, so let's see, we can let it start from here around the chest, and then we can animate it. Okay, so right now we'll just set it here, and later on we're going to animate it. Okay, so now we have applied a gradient ramp. So now let's get the second effect. So we're going to apply a fractal noise. Here we go. So if we just search it and drop it onto the mask layer. So here we go. Okay, so if we turn on this layer, you will see what it does. So basically you're going to create this white and black pattern. So with that fractal noise, you can see that now the girl is kind of half transparent, and it has the noise on her. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So basically we want to use this to kind of cut this girl into pieces and let her disappear. Okay, so let's temporarily turn this mask layer on, and so we can we'll be able to see the noise. Okay, so now let's animate the noise. So let's move our timeline to 1 second, and let's create a first. Let's increase the contrast. So let's try about, let me see, 300 should be good. And then we're going to change the complexity a little bit. So maybe try 7, just increase a little bit. And then evolution. So what it does is, see, when you change the evolution, basically this frag noise is going to change the pattern. So basically we're going to set a keyframe on it. So you're going to keep kind of a warping. Okay, so here at 1 second, your timeline at 1 second, we're going to create a keyframe for our evolution. Okay, and then if we go to about maybe about 8 second, okay, at 8 second, and let's see, we just change this to about maybe 300, and let's take a look. If I hit spacebar, play, it's a little bit slow, right? So we can make it faster. So how can we make it faster? I will need to go to the second keyframe I created, which is 8 seconds. To make it accurate, we can just go to the effect, go to the frag noise we just created, and see here we can see the keyframes. And then just click on this small triangle, go to the next keyframe. So you're gonna jump onto our keyframe. Okay, so here we can add one circle. So basically that's 360 degree, add to the 300 degree. So now if I play, see, it gets much faster. That's good. Okay, and then let's hide it. So now let's take a look. See, now the girl is half transparent. So that's what we want to do. And then let's add a level, so we can kind of increase the contrast and remove the soft edge. So, oh, sorry. Actually, we're gonna search for maybe a threshold, so we can make a solid result. So use a threshold, and let's drop threshold onto the mask. Here we go. See, now we have changed her to pieces. And then let's take a look for the level. So if I move it to a negative point, for example, -20, she's a solid. So if I show you the mask, this is how it looks. So when I change the level to level, if I change the level to -20, it changed the whole layer to a white color. So that's why the girl is a solid. So if I increase it, see, now it's gonna start to show the fractal noise. So that's how it works. All right, so now if I just hide the mask layer, so this is how it works. Okay, so we're going to create a keyframe for the threshold. So now let's get our timeline to 1.5 seconds, which is 1 second 15 frames, and change the level to -20. And this is the point where the whole mask layer gonna turn to white color. So the girl is 100% solid. Okay, so we're going to create a keyframe for a level, and then let's see, maybe about 4 seconds. Here she will disappear. So, oh, actually 1.5 seconds, maybe just about. Let's see, maybe just about 2 seconds 15. So we're going to increase it to, let's see, to the maximum point, which should be about 400. So let's try 400. So now let's play. Okay, so that's a little bit faster. So we'll just put the second keyframe at 4 seconds to give it more time. So we will go to here, threshold, go to the level, and just simply drag this keyframe to 4 seconds, around to 4 seconds. You don't have to be accurate. So now let's take a look. So it's getting slower. All right, now you can see that our characters still remain there. There's still some pieces left over, so we can polish this effect a little bit. So let's go to the first keyframe for threshold, and then let's go back to fractal noise, find its brightness channel, okay, and create a keyframe, and then go to the next keyframe for a threshold. So it don't have to be accurate, just around there, you know. And then here, let's just drop down the brightness to maybe about -100. Okay, so that will remove all of the remaining pieces. Here we go. Okay, so now let's think about your character as a 3D object because your character is a 3D object, right? So as the front piece disappeared, there's a hole open, and then we should be able to see the back face, the inner side of her head, right? So how can we fake that feeling? So first, let's select both of these two layers. First, make sure you tag them into a, for example, blue color, so we know these two are tied together. Okay, so now let's select both of them and hit DK for duplication. Okay, and for the bottom two layer, the duplicated layer, we're going to make the bottom theme. Okay, so first let's go to the mask and go to the effects, and we're gonna go to the fractal noise. Okay, and threshold. So we're gonna select the brightness keyframe for the fractal noise, and then hold on Shift and select the keyframe for the level for the threshold. So let's delay them a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna start after, and then let's select our girl layer, which is at the bottom. Okay, and then let's apply tint effect onto the girl. So now you can see the difference. So basically, this gray part is the bottom layer, the duplicate layer we just created. Okay, so let's go a little bit forward. So now for the tint effect, we're gonna map the black color as the dark gray color on her face and map white color also to that color. Okay, so now you should see the difference. So as the front face, see, if I just show you every layers. Okay, so if the front face, which is the top two, if it disappear, and then the bottom face is gonna hold there. Okay, so this is how it looks. As the front face disappear, the bottom is still there, and then the bottom gonna start to disappear. Okay, but you can see that the bottom layer it follows the same pattern, so we're going to change it a little bit. So we're gonna go to the mask, the duplicate mask, and go to its effects, go to the fractal noise, and we will have to change the evolution a little bit. So now let's go to the first keyframe of the evolution. So this part we're gonna change it to maybe about 1. Evolution is 1. And the second one, let's change it to 2. Okay, 2 circle. So now you can see that you're going to work, you're going to have different pattern than the first one because we changed the evolution of the fractal noise. So this is what I mean, right? So this is the second mask, and this is the first mask. You can see that their pattern are different. Okay, so you're going to create a different piece for our character. Okay, our character head gonna start to disappear, and then comes the inner part. Okay, looks good. So now let's create some lighting. So as the top pieces kind of start to disappearing, so we can add some glow effect to it. So how can we do that? So let's select the top two. Okay, the top two layers, and hit Command D to make a duplication. Okay, and then right click on them, and down below there you should see pre-composition. So pre-comp, I want you to pre-comp them and move all attributes into the new composition. And for new composition name, let's say glow. Here we go. Okay, so now everything looks the same, nothing looks different. So if you double click on the glow layer, so this is basically we have duplicated these two layers and put them in the group. Okay, so what we want to add to this layer is first we're going to add a tritone. If you just search tritone, you should be able to find it. So apply it, and then for the highlights, so we're going to change it to black. And mid-tone, we're going to change it to white, and then we're going to blend with original. And then we're going to apply a, let's see, glow effect onto it. So search for glow and drop it at the bottom. Okay, so now basically this is how it works. So we just apply a glow effect to the pieces on the top. And then let's bring this glow layer down below the first two layer, which is the mask and the glow. Okay, so we're going to place the glow effect in the center. See, this is the difference. So now you can see that the glow is going to leak out from the edge of the top layer. Okay, and then from there, we can start to twist the setting for the glow. So we can change the glow radius, change the glow intensity. So don't make it too crazy, just about 1.5 or something around there. So now you can see that some lighting gonna leak out from the hole of the first layer. Okay, maybe we can just change it a little bit. Okay, yeah, I'll keep it there, but you can twist all of the settings, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll just keep most of the part as default. Okay, so for the glow effect, we don't want it to happen in the beginning. We only want it to happen at a specific time. For example, as the top pieces start to appeal, start to disappear, we want the glow effect to show up. So we're going to select the glow effect and hit T for opacity, create a keyframe. We can zoom in our timeline closer. So in the beginning, we want to set the glow as 0. Okay, and then start from here, we want it to be 100. So glow will only happen here. Okay, and then for this glow layer, we're going to change the blending mode to screen. Okay, so you're gonna lighten the bottom. Okay, and also probably we're going to, let's see, probably we can create a mask, so we can come here, select the glow layer, and use a ellipse tool to create a mask. In the beginning, we only want to mask the head. Okay, and make it a little bit smaller. Just mask the head like this. And then go to the mask setting. We're going to change the feather, increase it to about like 150. Okay, and mask type as add. So now you can see that in the beginning, the glow effect only shows in this area. So what we can do is we can create a keyframe for the mask. So around here, we're going to create a mask for a mask path, which is when the glow layer opacity start to be 100. See, here's a 0, right? Here's a 0, and then here's a 100. And then start from here, we're going to animate our mask. We're going to let the mask grow. So double click on the mask, and then increase it to cover most of the part. This is how it looks. And then after that, we're going to include the whole thing. So double click and cover the whole thing. Okay, so this is how it looks. So in the beginning, the glow will only happen on the head, and then you're going to start to grow, and then every piece is going to have a glow effect. Okay, so this will make the transition look more natural. Looks cool. And then next step, we're going to add some smoke first, and then we're going to add fire. Okay, so for the glow layer, let's also tag it as maybe let's tag it as yellow, so we know this is the glow layer. This is different than the other layers. Okay, so now let's go back to the project section, and then go to here. We're going to import smoke proof 6 and 7. Then let's bring in the smoke proof 6 into the scene. And then under effect, let's search for on mode. Here we go. So drop it onto the proof, the smoke proof layer. So basically, going to remove the black color background. And then for the smoke color, let's use a tint layer, tint effect for it. And then we're going to map black color into, let's see, for the smoke, let's change it to a kind of a brownish color, similar to the character's color. So we're going to pick up the brown, map black color to the brown, and map white color also to brown. So here we go. So this is our smoke color. Okay, and then for the smoke, let's see. First, let's change the anchor point of the smoke to the center of the smoke, and then switch back to selection tool and bring it to the head. So we want the smoke to start happening around here. Okay, around here. So what we can do is we can create a opacity keyframe. So select the layer, hit TK, and create a keyframe for opacity. Set the opacity as a 0, and then here it's gonna be 100. And then right at here, we're going to add a keyframe, and then let it disappear. Okay, so this is how it looks. So maybe just move it forward, let it disappear earlier, a little bit earlier. Okay, so you just want it to make to look natural. And let's see. Okay, looks good. And then we're going to duplicate this layer. So we duplicate and bring it to the bottom here, and then we can rotate a little bit, and we can change a different version of it. And also we can let's see, hit TK for opacity, and then we can cut this part and move it forward, and then delay the opacity keyframe. So what I'm doing here is basically I'm using later time of this smoke layer, so that smoke gonna look a bit different than the first smoke. Okay, so it's gonna look so different. And also here I'm gonna change the scale a little bit and change the position. Okay, and we can also create some keyframes. So for example, in the beginning, we can get position, which is the initial position. And then right at here, we can just move it up a little bit. So you're gonna start to move, see that? You're gonna start to move. And we can do the same thing for the first smoke. So we can get to the position, create a position at the initial position. And then after it disappear, we can move it up like this. So now the top smoke is gonna also move. We can just make it move just a little bit, not too much, so it looks natural. Okay, and then one smoke at the bottom. So here we can just use a different smoke. So we can use smoke 7 and just drop it in here, and maybe we can just cut it here. Okay, and then we're going to search on mode again, drop on it. And then for the smoke color, we can simply just select other smoke and hit EK for its effects, and then copy that tint effect and bring it to the third smoke. And then bring the third smoke down, and then we can change the anchor point to the center, and then use the selection tool to move it again, and then change it, make it a little bit bigger, like this. And then we can decide when should we let the smoke appear. So maybe here, let me hide this layer. So as the body start to kind of disappearing, we can go to the opacity keyframe and change the opacity first to 0 and add a keyframe. And then a few frames later, we can bring it to 100. So we're gonna be here, and then here we're gonna start to disappear. So we're gonna add a keyframe, and a few frames more, we're going to let it disappear, set it as 0. So now let's take a look. Okay, looks good. I don't think we have to move it. It looks good just sitting there. Okay, so now is this thing. So we're going to select both all of these 3 layers and just pack them, and we're going to change the color to brown, so we know this is the smoke, and we will put it underneath the girls layer, and above the background. Okay, because the smoke, we just want it to be underneath all of the pieces, right? So it looks more natural. Okay, so now it's fire. So now let's introduce the fire. And let's go to the folder and let's bring in fire. So I only included one fire for simplicity. But you can use more if you want. So here in the beginning, let's see, we want the fire start to burn on the head. Okay, so drop in the fire, place it on the top, and we can get a keyline 1.2 effect, and then remove the green color background. Okay, so for this fire, let's do some change. At the bottom, you can see is a little bit hard. The edge is very hard, so we can soften it by first select the fire layer. Okay, and then by use the pen tool, we can draw a mask around the bottom and include this area. So by default, the mask, you can see that the mask is set as add. If we change it to subtract, and subtract this area, and then under the mask setting, let's increase the feather so we can soften here. See that? I'm going to soften that area. So now let's switch back to selection tool, and switch it back to selection tool. Select your fire, and then you can move it. So first, let's put our fire on the head, and let's get to rotation, and let's orient it so the fire will go straight forward like this. Okay, so let's see, where should the fire start to show up? Should be around this area. So here we're going to select the fire at this point as the top pieces start to disappearing. Select the fire, hit TK for opacity, create a keyframe. And a few frames back, let's drop the opacity down to 0. And this is how it looks. Okay. And maybe just extend the time a little bit more. And the fire is a little bit too merge, so select the fire, go to scale, and bring it down a little bit. Okay, and then let's create some keyframe animation. So in the beginning, right here, we want the fire to sit on the top. See, we want the fire to sit on the top of the head. So let's go to the position, create a position keyframe, and then as the fire starts to burn, we want the fire to end at here. This is the next piece on the cheek. So we can simply just move the position to here, around here. So now you can see that the fires start to move. Well, I think it's a little bit too fast. So maybe we'll just move it very gentle. Just move it a little bit. Like this. And also I'm going to delay the keyframe, just move the keyframe backward a little bit. See, this is how it looks. And then I'm going to go to his opacity keyframe. So here the second keyframe is 100, right? So here I'm going to keep 100, add a keyframe, keep as 100. But after this keyframe, the third keyframe, I'm going to let it start to disappear. Put it as 0. So fire burn, and then it's going to disappear. As the skin disappear, the fire can also disappear. Okay, then we're gonna change the blending mode to screen, right? You can also just right click on the layer, go to blending mode, and change it to screen. Okay, so this is the fire on the head, and we're gonna just follow the exact same process to add fire to this area, to this area. So the more detail you add, the better your effect will look like. So select the fire, just hit Command D to make a duplication, and go to this position keyframe. Hit this button to delete all of the keyframes you have created, and then we're going to start the fire at here. Okay. So remember the strategy that I taught you how to make the second fire different than the first one? We have done that for the smoke. So basically we're going to just delay the time, right? So first we're going to cut this part and then move it forward. So we definitely know this part is different than that part, right? Okay, and then we're gonna move the smoke down and go to opacity. Also delete opacity keyframe. And then let's see. So start from here. The fire should start. So we add a keyframe which will start at 0%, and then add it to become to 100% to show up. So the fire. This is the fire. And also for the fire, we can make it as bigger by changing the scale. So we can make it bigger. And then go back to opacity keyframe. So here is a start to burn. And then next here, add a third keyframe. And then the third fire gonna disappear. So we're gonna change it to 0. So now let's take a look. They have the chest and then the torso. Okay, so for the torso, we're basically gonna repeat the process. So select the fire, hit Command D to make duplication, go to opacity, delete opacity keyframe, delete position keyframe. Oh, sorry, we haven't created any position keyframe, so that's fine. So go back to opacity, change it to 100% so you can see the fire. So here we're going to cut this whole area and bring it forward, sorry. And then we're going to move the fire to the torso. And you can also rotate a little bit to make it different than the top fire. Like this. Okay, so for fire for the torso, we're going to net it to start to appear here and disappear around here. So to make it easier, what you can do is you can simply select the opacity keyframe for the fire layer down below there, Command C, copy, and then go to the top layer, Command V, paste. Right, so we just pasted it here. So here's how it looks. Okay, and you can also add some fire to the arm to make it even more realistic. So we can just select the top fire and hit Command D to make a duplication. Go to its position keyframe, move it to the arm, go to the scale, drop down the scale, go to the opacity, and then here, let's see, where should we start? So maybe right here. So we can just move the opacity keyframe forward a little bit. So the fire gonna appear earlier. And then because we just duplicate the whole thing from the bottom, so basically the fire will look exactly the same. So what we can do is we can just cut this whole area and postpone it. And then bring back the opacity keyframe. So now the fire will look different. And also we can go to rotation keyframe, just rotate it a little bit. Right, so this fire goes through that way. And we can also add fire to here, so we can just copy this fire and bring it down and follow exact same process, cut this whole area, bring it back, and go to its opacity and put it back. And we can maybe just move it a little bit, and we can also go to its rotation, rotate it this way, and play. Right, so it looks a little bit different. Maybe too much, like this. Okay, so now you can see that the arm also looks very nasty. But what about here? We can follow exactly the same process. We can just duplicate this fire and which is this one. Okay, and then we can just move it to the palm on the right palm. Okay, and we can go to the opacity and cut this whole area and bring it forward, and then drop the keyframe back. Here we go. And then we can change the rotation. So go to this rotation and rotate the fire this way. Right? So now it looks like the skin is on fire and then it's gonna disappear. And then same thing for elbow around here, this part, since it has a lot of skin. So we can just duplicate this layer, the fire layer, go to this opacity and cut this whole area and bring it back. And then bring back the opacity keyframes. And also we're going to move the position to here and change the rotation this way. See that? So the fire is going to be set on the skin and going to disappear. Okay, so this is basically the whole process. A simple way to create this effect. Again, as you put more detail, it'll look more realistic.